Today we are talking with the man who was known as the smartest man in science and math history. This man created the idea behind electricity and energy that we use today. I would like to introduce you to Mr. Albert Einstein.
Why, hello there! I'm so glad you could have me.
Hi, Mr. Albert Einstein. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing very, very well. How about you, young lady?
We are doing well.
I'm glad to hear it.
So this week we've been talking about science,
Oh, goody.
math,
Mm-hmm.
and the inventions that have led up into today.
Oh, that's very intriguing.
So we thought that we would have you as our special guest and you
Oh.
could teach us about your inventions and how you became the smartest man in science and math history.
Well, I'm so glad that you were privileged to want to have me on your show, so thank you so much.
So let's start with when you were a kid, shall we?
Of course, of course.
So tell us, Mr. Albert Einstein, where were you born?
I was born in a country named Germany on March 14th, 1879.
Wow, all the way from Germany?
Of course, even across the other side of the ocean. Could you believe it?
When did you move to the United States?
When I felt like it was during the war because I realized to pursue what I had wanted to do, I had to escape the war that was taking place in the continent. So, as grim as it may be, I fled to America during the war.
So tell us, Mr. Einstein, did you have any siblings growing up?
Oh, yes, I did. I had a younger sister. Her name was Mara Einstein.
When you were younger, what did you want to be?
It started out honestly as a teacher. I had a lot of fondness towards teaching and education and learning as a whole, and it kind of developed into wanting to be a scientist and learning new equations to help the world. And mathematician popped in there at one point, but yeah, scientist and teacher.
What made you want to become a scientist?
Well, okay. I wanted to become a scientist because my father, he owns an electrics company. And one day he gave me a little compass to play with, and I was intrigued and interested at the way that it worked. So one day I decided to sit down and open my books and figure it out. And oh, lo and behold, figuring out how that compass worked made me want to make a path and career out of learning science.
So you would say in school, math and science was your favorite subject.
Above everything else, I enjoyed every subject I had in school, of course, but yes, of course, science and math they pulled my most interest, and it's where I excelled at.
Did you play any instruments or sports when you were younger?
Well, sports never really interested me, unfortunately, but music and instruments, of course. I played two instruments. I played the piano, and I played my loved violin.
So did you spend more time studying science and creations when you were younger?
Oh yes, of course. Some of my friends consider me weird for doing that because I never really was drawn to what too many kids were. I enjoyed staying inside and opening books and just creating new things, really. Small inventions just to please me and my family.
So when you finished school, did you decide to go to college to be a scientist?
Oh, I did. I did very much. Little embarrassing thought about that, but it could hopefully open the eyes to some people who think that they can't achieve to anything. I actually failed my test to get into college. Would you believe it? I felt so ashamed. But I was able to get in, and, well, the rest is kind of history on what happened, really.
How old were you when you created your first invention?
I was only 26 years old, as I mentioned, though I did have little inventions here and there I made for my family, but as far as making actual inventions to help the world, I was only 26.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your first invention was?
Well, my first invention was that I discovered how light bulbs work, how electricity works, and to make it more simpler for the person to live. And that's what all my inventions were, really, was to make sure that life for people was easier and more simpler. But really, the first one I did was with light bulbs and electricity.
And I understand, Mr. Einstein, that to create that invention, you came up with a math equation. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. A very simple equation once you look at it, but every fondness for electricity and for energy is all based around that equation.
Do we still use a lot of the inventions that you created today?
Having this conversation, we are using my invention. The way that we are filming this invention, or this interview, is the exact same way that we use my invention in everyday life. Everything we do is based off our inventions.
Tell me, Mr. Einstein, how does it feel to be known as the smartest man in science and math history?
Oh, well, you see, young lady, I don't like to think that I'm above anybody else. And the fact that people put that title to me is very honorable. But I would be lying if I said it didn't make me feel like I had some importance or make me happy, because, oh, indeed it did. When I was growing up, people always told me I was stupid and would never grow up to do anything with my life or of any importance. Of course, I turned an eye to it, but with my discoveries and my inventions, it gave me a purpose, and it made me feel so much happier to know that I would be putting these inventions to better use for everybody else.
Mr. Einstein, before we let you go, do you have any special message for the children that are watching?
Of course I do. For anybody listening, understand that you are important, and you do always have a very important role to play in life. It might take time to figure out what that role may be, and there will be a lot of trial and error with it. But you've got to keep trying with what you are going to do, and one day you will make the most out of your chances that you were given. So always keep trying, even once you fail.
Mr. Einstein, we would just like to thank you for being able to come and meet with us.
Oh, of course.
And talk about all your inventions.
Oh, it was my pleasure.
We had so much fun getting to talk and meet with you today.
As did I.
Thank you again, and we would like to tell all of our friends goodbye.
Bye-bye.